So we're on the Calceby Beck, which is in Lincolnshire near Swaby. It's a chalk river system, so both locally, nationally and internationally, very important system. We had a river here that has suffered from modification in the past. It was actually over deep and was not flooding as frequently as it should into its local floodplain area. A lot of the chalk habitat and morphology has been choked with fine sediments coming in from both locally and upstream. And what we've tried to do as part of the restoration is improve that situation through a combination of some localised in-stream morphological works, but probably more importantly looking at reconnecting the river to its local floodplain.
So Water and Agriculture, as a Water and Agriculture company, has always been very interested in environmental stewardship, part of countryside stewardship, SFI schemes for many decades now. We have in the past struggled with areas flooding and lost crops. This piece of land here, it's not very good for production agriculture, either livestock or arable. So if we can have areas of unproductive land that allows better catchment level water management, we're going to benefit in the long run from that approach.
It was a great opportunity with the landowner actually coming forward, making contact with the partnership group, Lincolnshire Chalk Streams Project, and my colleague Ruth Craig. And we were really excited by their initial plans and thoughts for the site and what they could do with it. The challenge is to have more water held up in the upper catchments, so it's not coming through those intense periods of rainfall. If we can hold the water up in the upper catchment, it helps nature, but also it helps the settlements, and we avoid this high flooding instances.
We use a combination of survey data that we gathered during the design phase of the project, as well as Environment Agency LiDAR data, and we essentially feed that into a computer model that we essentially run water over, and that helps us to identify where the optimum place to create that connection with the main channel, but also where we might want to create wetland and pond features.
What's fantastic is when the diggers came on site, and then you could see the work to restore the site was taking place. And there's a few scary moments when you're wondering, when the diggers are in, how well that's going to go. And now a year on, it's fantastic to actually see the site re-establish itself. The water being taken in the directions that we thought, that Seb and his team had modelled. So that's really, really exciting.
We've given this system here the ability to flow widely across this area as part of a sort of multi-thread channel network that it will continue to develop itself. So we've got a combination of sort of static hydrologic wetland, but also flowing wetland as well, which is quite rare generally in our river systems, not just in Lincoln, but nationally as well. But thinking about the channel itself, what we should hopefully see is more of that fine sediment load being dealt with on the reconnected floodplain area and less being stored in the river channel itself. Hopefully see recovery of more typical chalk gravel habitat.
Well, the catchment itself is a sensitive one, and Calceby Beck has a number of local wildlife sites. There's obviously some sensitive species, otter, kingfisher we've already sighted, heron, some of the bigger wading birds will come in and use the more permanent areas of water. We've got some great survey work that is now taking place with volunteers actually now actively engaged as citizen science projects. So there is a real interest and engagement in the site. It's not something which we're just going to turn our back on at all. So that to me is the really exciting element.
Any farmer, if you ask them, will always want to leave their farm or area they look after in better condition than they found it. And I think this is kind of one strand of that, not necessarily just better condition for yielding crops, but better condition all round, and this, I would say, would be a prime example of that.
And I think that the fundamental principle to this approach on the Calceby Beck here is that it's been low intervention, but it's considered the river and the floodplain as a single functional unit, and as a result we've created some very, very significant permanent wetland habitat that's going to have unbelievable benefits for the environment.
It's very rewarding to come back onto the site after all of the work and the time that's been spent on it, and actually, yes, the realisation that actually it's working really well. And it's great that the landowner is equally excited about the project and what it's brought to them, both on this site and for their wider holding. And we're looking forward to sharing that with other partners as well, and other landowners, crucially, to use this example as a test case, a bit of an exemplar of what can be achieved with connecting Lincolnshire chalk streams with the surrounding wider habitats.